A close friend recently asked me, "Why are you doing this?" He said, "If I was 12 times as fit as you are, I wouldn't even consider hiking across the Grand Canyon." Perhaps I didn't really know the answer until I arrived. Assessing the adventure I was about to embark upon, I approached the lip of the rim. There, defeating my senses, was the depth and the distances, cliffs and buttes and hanging terraces, all sculptured on a scale beyond imagination. Colors, neither red nor white nor pink nor purple, but a fusion, and stamped across everything the master pattern. I looked east and west, as far as my eyes could strain, until cliff and terrace tapered away into hazy distances. It was mysterious and daunting and beckoning, and I was about to walk across it, alone, by myself. I don't think that I ever really considered that things might go seriously wrong. I'm still naive enough to believe that if a man wants something badly enough, he usually gets it. And I wanted the canyon, wanted it badly, for myself and for kids at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital who are battling cancer. As I descended in the darkness, I was surprised by a brief yet unpredicted rain shower. The remnants of the culprit clouds became visible at daybreak. Indian Garden Campground, now officially renamed Havasupai Gardens, is a lush oasis located over 3,000 vertical feet below the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Native Americans inhabited and farmed this area for thousands of years before Grand Canyon National Park was established. Each campsite features a shade structure, picnic table, a pack pole, and food storage cans. The campsite provides composting toilets and water spigots. I'm about 4.8 miles from the south rim on the Bright Angel Trail. How majestic! An agave stalk, thrusting up 20 feet of clustered yellow blooms, and bumblebees droning ponderously around the flowers' entrances, pollen sacs yellow and pendulous. The agave is a part of the bedrock of life in the Grand Canyon, a part of the plant life that captures for this planet the energy of the sun and stores this energy and hands it on to insects and other animals that feed on other parts of it, such as certain kinds of lizards or perhaps a browsing wild burrow. Everything around me is an intricate, interlocking web of life. Grand Canyon National Park is home to a variety of plant life, including 1,737 known species of vascular plants, 167 species of fungi, 64 species of moss, and 195 species of lichen. The variety of plant life is largely due to the 8,000-foot elevation change from river up to the highest point in the North Rim. From alpine forest to desert scrub to riparian forest, plant life changes dramatically. About a dozen of the plants in the park are found nowhere else. They're an endemic. Some of the plants and wildflowers that I've seen here in the canyon are watercress, Rocky Mountain iris, the red columbine palmer lupine, and white violet. Also, there's lots of succulents. I've seen the prickly pear cactus, also the agave. Wonderful plant life here in the Grand Canyon National Park. Grand Canyon chronology is masterfully displayed on its walls. Like a slice of layer cake, the Paleozoic era is distinguishable by a stack of 11 different sedimentary rock types. The newest and uppermost layer, the Kaibab Formation, is 350 feet thick and was deposited some 270 million years ago. Underneath Kaibab is the Toroweap Formation, which was formed under the sea 3 million years before the Kaibab Formation. The recognizable 300 feet thick white Coconino Sandstone was deposited by wind. Immediately under it is the Hermit Formation, which was also formed under the sea between 275 and 285 million years ago. 500 feet tall Red Wall Limestone is readily visible sedimentary rock, which was formed about 340 million years ago. and the Tonto group of 4 additional layers gets down to 3,500 to 4,000 feet below the rim, and over 500 million years in the making. Underneath the Paleozoic era rocks are the Proterozoic, which include the Grand Canyon supergroup strata to 1.2 billion years old. Then, strangely, there's an absence of about 500 million years worth of rock. This is commonly referred to as the Great Unconformity, because the underlying basement rocks, the granites, the gneisses, and schists, are 1.7 to 2.4 billion years old. So the rocks that would be between 1.2 and 1.7 billion years old are missing. Thus, the Great Unconformity. Devil's Corkscrew, a mile of twisted switchbacks grounded in a riparian oasis. Trickling water from high above forms tributaries which promote the development of a verdant wetland. As trail turned into creek, I forded my way to the Colorado River. As I wound my way through this massive canyon down here to the Colorado River, a chemistry is occurring. The space and the silence, and the solitude and the beauty are all working together I find myself immersed not merely in the physical and present canyon, but in all the slow processes that had gone into its making, and had, long before that, gone into the making of its materials. And so, how was the Grand Canyon formed? The Grand Canyon is a distinct and ordered combination of geologic events. The story begins 2 billion years ago with the formation of igneous and metamorphic rocks of the inner gorge. Above these old rocks lie layer upon layer of sedimentary rock, each telling a unique part of the environmental history of the Grand Canyon region. Interestingly, Kaibab limestone, the uppermost layer of rock here at the Grand Canyon, was formed at the bottom of the ocean. Yet today, the Kaibab limestone is found at elevations up to 9,000 feet. So how can that be? Well, between 70 and 30 million years ago, through the action of plate tectonics, the whole region was uplifted, resulting in the Colorado Plateau. With uplift, geologists generally expect to see deformation of rocks. The rocks that comprise the Rocky Mountains, for example, were dramatically crunched and deformed during their uplift. However, on the Colorado Plateau, the rocks weren't altered significantly. They were instead lifted high and flat. Finally, beginning just 5 to 6 million years ago, they estimate, the Colorado River began to carve its way downward. The canyon is being downcut by the fast-flowing waters of the river. The headwaters of the Colorado River begin from their sources of rain and snowmelt up about 14,000 feet up in the Rocky Mountains. Due to the steep slope and large volume of flowing water through an arid climate, the canyon is being formed. The canyon isn't getting deeper nearly as fast as it's getting wider. The rocks through which the river is currently downcutting are hard, crystalline, igneous, and metamorphic rocks, which are much stronger than the sedimentary rocks resting above them. More importantly, the river's gradient has decreased, such that it has less power to battle with hard rocks. The river's elevation near Phantom Ranch is just 2,400 feet above sea level. And because sea level at 0 feet is the ultimate base level for all rivers and streams, upon reaching sea level, the Colorado River will be done downcutting. This hike includes distances of 9 miles from the south rim down to the Colorado River and 15 miles from the river up to the north rim. So why the difference in distance? Well, basically 2 reasons. First, the north rim is approximately 1,000 feet higher than the south rim, and waters flowing off the Colorado Plateau from north of the north rim are flowing into the Grand Canyon and ultimately down to the Colorado River. Waters flowing off the Colorado Plateau south of the south rim of the Grand Canyon are flowing away from the Grand Canyon. Greater erosion and widening of the canyon to the north is occurring. Just up ahead, we see the Silver Bridge. It's a crucial structure in the Grand Canyon National Park. Built in the late 1960s, it connects the Bright Angel Trail, which I'm on now, from the south rim, to the Phantom Ranch and ultimately the North Kaibab Trail up to the north rim. Although only hikers can cross this suspension bridge, well, hikers and mules, no cars, it serves another vital purpose. It supports the Trans-Canyon Water Pipeline that supplies water up to the South Rim tourist area. This pipeline transports 500,000 gallons of fresh water daily from Roaring Springs up near the North Rim, across the Colorado River via the Silver Bridge, and up to the South Rim. Without this water supply, the Grand Canyon Village would struggle to accommodate the millions of tourists who visit the South Rim each year.
This is looking east, upstream, over the Colorado River. And this is looking west, downstream.
Spend a night at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, surrounded by 2-billion-year-old granite and Vishnu schist. One of only 4 campgrounds in the canyon, Bright Angel Campground is just a half-mile north of the Colorado River on the banks of Bright Angel Creek, a tributary of the Colorado. Campsites either sit at the base of towering cliff walls or line the creek. Cottonwood trees shade the campground and create a lush oasis. In addition to hiking, riding a mule, or rafting down the Colorado River, there is a fourth option for getting out of the canyon. The ranger reported that this fella was overcome by heat exhaustion and was rescued by helicopter. This is Phantom Ranch, the only lodging below the canyon rim. It can be reached by mule, on foot, or by rafting the Colorado River. Hikers are welcome at Phantom Ranch Canteen for snacks, beverages, and even can mail a letter which gets delivered in part by mule. The history of Phantom Ranch can be traced back to the early 20th century when a number of entrepreneurs started developing the northern section of the Grand Canyon to host visitors who yearned to experience its majesty. In 1903, Edwin Woolley Jr. formed the Grand Canyon Transportation Company with the intent on creating a tourist compound that would rival the facility that the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway was constructing nearby. His prospective site was close to the Bright Angel Creek near the Colorado River. Woolley commissioned his son-in-law, David Rust, to transform an ancient Native American pathway that followed the Bright Angel Creek down to the Colorado River. Known as the Bright Angel Trail, the trail crossed the Bright Angel Creek some 94 times. The trail was reconstructed in 1925 to include only 6 bridges and renamed North Kaibab Trail. Rust and his team had set up several visitor tents at his campsite near the Colorado River, which became popular places for visitors to stay while exploring the area. Even President Theodore Roosevelt visited the site in 1913 while on a hunting trip. Woolley's permit to run the business was revoked, however, during the First World War, and the camp was abandoned. Once the Greater Grand Canyon became a national park in 1919, the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway partnered with the Fred Harvey Company, who hired lead architect Mary E.J. Coulter to design and build permanent lodging at the former Rust campsite. In 1922, Coulter completed 4 cabins that accommodated 4 beds each, as well as a lodge and a formal dining hall, all for $20,000. Coulter named it Phantom Ranch, in homage to neighboring Phantom Canyon. Phantom Ranch quickly built up the reputation of its predecessors and further solidified its status as a premier vacation hotspot in northern Arizona. The site was soon hosting all kinds of influential individuals, including politicians, entertainers, and even European royalty. To accommodate the rising numbers of enthusiastic guests arriving at Phantom Ranch, Coulter herself oversaw the expansion of the facility throughout the 1920s and into the 1930s. Although I'm hiking across the Grand Canyon solo, I did bring two friends. One is my Garmin InReach Mini GPS device. Garmin monitors the exact coordinates of this device 24/7. In the unlikely event that I become disabled, I can call upon Garmin for assistance. I lift the little cover right here on the side and press the SOS button. By doing that, the people at Garmin will notify appropriate search and rescue assistance for me anywhere on Earth. In addition to the search and rescue benefit of this device, it also offers a feature called MapShare, through which friends and family can observe the progress of my hike from their computer. Every 10 minutes, the device plots my location. Additionally, the device allows me to send a limited amount of text messages from the trail. The Garmin Iridium satellite coverage is far superior to phone cell service in remote locations anywhere in the world. My second friend is this water purification system. It filters 99.8% of particulate matter from water, as small as bacteria. Everything except for viruses. It's a lifesaver. I can draw fresh, cold water out of Bright Angel Creek as I hike from Phantom Ranch through the heat-intensive section of canyon known as the Box and the desolate, sun-baked stretch of Canyon Valley which lies ahead. This is the notorious Box. Over 4 miles of trail where 2-billion-year-old granite walls tower high over the North Kaibab Trail. Temperature is in the mid-120s in the shade. There isn't much shade. I found access to Bright Angel Creek at a few places where I get cold water to drink and soak my shirt. This is a lonely place. I've seen only one other hiker here in the Box. How do they know how old this place really is? I mean, talking in terms of 50 million years, 400 million years, 2.3 billion years, it all sounds incomprehensible. How do we know it's true? Geochronology is the study by scientists of Earth's age. It includes two different methods, relative dating and absolute dating. Relative dating establishes a chronological order of events like superposition, cross-cutting, fossil succession. Absolute dating establishes numerical ages by radiometric dating, which measures the known decay of isotopes, and by luminescence dating, which measures trapped electrons in minerals. Sounds confusing, but it's really not. Remembering back from high school chemistry, an isotope is one of two or more species of atoms of a chemical element with the same atomic number and position in the periodic table, and nearly identical chemical behavior, but with different atomic masses and physical properties. Isotopes are used to date igneous and some metamorphic rock, but not sedimentary rock. What's the difference between these rocks? Well, igneous rock is a type of rock formed from molten earth, such as volcanic rock. It comes up as hot liquid from within the earth and then cools. Metamorphic rocks are rocks that have changed their form by immense heat or pressure. They're comprised of both igneous and sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rock is the result of layers of Earth's particles being deposited and shifted by wind and sea level. Because sedimentary rock is made of particles derived from other rocks, measuring its isotopes would date the original rock material, but not the sediments they have ended up in. Isotopic dating of igneous and metamorphic rocks is based upon the fact that we know the decay rates of certain unstable isotopes of elements, and that these decay rates have been constant throughout geologic time. Radioactive decay is the process by which a parent isotope changes into what they call a daughter isotope. The nuclear decay of radioactive isotopes is a process that behaves in a clock-like fashion and is thus a useful tool for determining the absolute age of rocks. By the way, that people often hear the words carbon dating. Well, carbon dating is generally used on plant and animal material, on materials made of carbon, like human fossils. Carbon dating is only effective to about 50 to 60,000 years. Older than that, and the radioactivity of carbon becomes depleted and unmeasurable. Cottonwood Campsite is 7 miles down from the North Rim. Situated near the Bright Angel Creek and straddles both sides of the North Kaibab Trail. Some of its 15 campsites are shaded by cottonwood trees. All offer the conveniences of potable water and vaulted toilet facilities. It's a great place for stargazing, picnics, wildlife viewing.
Some original knob and tube electric wiring here from back in the day, probably the 1920s.
And then I was no longer walking. I was standing alone, not quite understanding why I had stopped. I found myself listening. It was so still that there was nothing to hear but silence. I had left behind the man-constructed world, had escaped from a world in which days are consumed by clocks and dollars and traffic and other people, into a world that was governed by the sun and the wind and the lie of the land. A world in which things that mattered were the pack on your back, the sunlight on rough rock, and the look of the way ahead. A world in which you relied always on yourself. Sometimes I can walk so close to the red wall and pick out a small gray patch where a rock fragment peeled away so recently that iron oxide from the terrace above has not yet had time to come down, seep down, and restain the newly exposed surface. Sometimes the trail sways wide, and your eye, encompassing mile after mile of smooth red cliff face, can savor the sweep of each bay and promontory. The rim, when you can see it, hangs high above and far, far back, and the world beyond it lies somewhere out beyond the horizons of your imagination. So, what about man? How does man's existence fit into the historical context of the canyon? Well, the intellectual answer includes the long evolutionary journey that created humans. One of the earliest ancestors, Sahelanthropus, began the slow transition from ape-like movement some 6 million years ago. But Homo sapiens wouldn't show up for more than 5 million years. To understand how Homo sapiens eventually evolved from these older lineages of hominins, the group including modern humans within the last 10,000 years and our closest extinct relatives and ancestors within the last 30,000 years, scientists are unearthing ancient bones and stone tools, digging into our genes and recreating the changing environments that helped shape our ancestors' world and guide their evolution. These lines of evidence increasingly indicate that Homo sapiens originated in Africa approximately 550,000 to 750,000 years ago.
The oldest recovered DNA of an early human Neanderthal is 430,000 years old, and that's somewhere in the mountains of Spain. Evidence shows early Grand Canyon inhabitants since the last ice age, 13,000 years ago. Pueblo and Cojonino ancestry were the last to inhabit the Grand Canyon for between 1050 and 1150 AD. But compared with 2 billion-year-old rock found here within the Grand Canyon, man is a newcomer on Earth. To understand man's significance, you must first accept his insignificance. The canyon reveals man as an organism, emerging from the realm of instinct into the uncharted arena of intellect. As an animal still a long way from rational, but one at last tinged with rationality. As a creature of tears and laughter. As a creature, above all, that is moving forward in the inescapable grip of time. As I am absorbed into the environment of the canyon, I'm caused to imagine the rich potential of man. Thinking hopefully of a time that might quite soon come when he learns not merely new knowledge, but new humility, and so new wisdom. A time when his know-how will run less rampant, and he will learn the value of feel-how, to balance, to curb, and to inspire. A time when he lives in harmony not only with the rest of the animal world, but with the rock and rolling hills, and forests and rivers, and the desert, and the oceans, and the uncorrupted air. Not only for an altruistic reason, but because he understands that it's the only way he can survive. Remembering the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, there is a relation between the hours of our life and the centuries of time. The hours should be instructed by the ages, and the ages explained by the hours. My hope is that next time there will be a whole bunch of Grand Canyon kids from St. Jude that'll be right here and joining me. Thank you for watching. Hi, I'm Mike. Hiking from rim to rim across the Grand Canyon by myself in one day was more than a visit to a national park. It was a cathartic experience. I'm not a professional hiker. I'm a retired home builder, just a guy in his 70s from Cincinnati, Ohio. My trek across the Grand Canyon is the kickoff of an event called Grand Canyon Kids on behalf of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I'm inviting you to become a part of the event. The challenge to move myself across the Grand Canyon was easy compared to the challenge of kids at St. Jude who are afflicted with cancer and other life-threatening diseases. My hike started with my first step at 3 a.m. on June 14th. You can take your first step right now by making a small donation to help Grand Canyon Kids at the website shown below, www.fundraising.stjude.org/go-to/Grand Canyon Kids. Please, be a part of the adventure. Take the first step. Be a person who makes a difference. Oh, and the next time you venture out west to Grand Canyon National Park, take time to walk down into the canyon. Just for a minute, leave the busy world behind. Walk down just far enough to where you, too, will feel one with rocks and wind and the sun and the solitude. It's magical.